Is your social media image working for or against you? Let's talk about that on today's Peak Performance Habits podcast. Welcome to Peak Performance Habits with Jackie Elmer, where you're going to learn how to create everything you want in the core areas of your life: relationships, health and fitness, and of course, money and career. You can learn more at peakperformancehabits.com. Hi, I'm Jackie Elmer, and welcome to the Peak Performance Habits podcast, where you'll discover time-proven strategies to succeed in each area and each goal in your life. Today, we're going to deep dive into your social media image. But I have a few things I would love to chat with you about first. Now, as I'm recording this, it's early December 2022, and of course, a fabulous year. Well, hopefully that's how you feel. That's how I feel, because I feel like every year is fabulous, even if it's not exactly the way that I wanted it to go. Every year either grows us, teaches us something, or we just kind of coast and enjoy pure happiness. It's kind of funny. Growth really only happens in those years when we struggle. When everything's going great, those are not our peak performance growth years typically. I'm not saying there's anything bad about them. I love those years too, but they don't create the same type of growth that a struggle year does. So as we begin to close down this year, I know that I'm reflecting back on all the different things that have occurred during the year, and I'm getting ready to choose my word of the year. Now, I don't know if you have done this in the past or you do it now. I have a complete process that I go through to choose the word of the year. And I'll talk about that here in a sec. But I will tell you, one of the words that's really on my mind for this year is curated. Curated. And it's funny, that word keeps popping up everywhere I go. Now, I've mentioned my process. What I do is typically somewhere around October, mid-October to 1st of November, I began with my morning routine when I'm doing my thought downloads and my morning pages and doing all of that. I will begin to pay attention to words that come to mind for me. And then I have little slips of paper, and I will jot down that word, and then I'll just fold it once and I pop it into a little glass bowl that I have that sits in my office. And if something really pops up for me earlier in the year, often I will put it in there too. But then typically around the 31st of December, New Year's Eve, that's when I typically like to draw, occasionally the 30th, depending on what's going on. But what I will do by that time, there's usually somewhere around 50 pieces of paper in that jar. And I'm going to shoot a quick video at some point here and let you know where to find that. It'll be on my Peak Performance Habits website, but I will create a video to show you exactly how I do that, because I'm a visual person. I've put it out in a couple of Facebook groups, but I will put that together. But what I'll do is I go through a whole ceremony where I basically close out the year that's ending and look through and reflect and do a year in review month to month using my calendar and day timer and my journal and all those type things. And it really helps me pull together the year and then prepare myself for what I intend to create in the year that's coming. So for me, my word this past year for 2022 was present. And that was really focused on being fully present, meaning if I was working out, being present on that workout and not a million miles away. If I was making dinner, be intentional, be very in the moment, certainly in my relationships, in my business dealings, and all of that. Now, the interesting thing about drawing the word in this way is that very often, this will be my fourth year of using this process to draw my word. 1920. 20, 21, 22. This will be my fourth year of using this process to draw my word. And most of the time when I get the word, I'm kind of like, no, this has got to be wrong. This is not cool and trendy and the word that I was hoping for myself. But my whole concept behind it is that in the past, I would pick a word and force it. I would force the word, typically choosing a habit that I wanted to adopt and something that I wanted to use. And then very often I would draw the word, I would write it in my journal, and then I would forget about it. And then I would think back at the end of the year, like, wow, what was my word? I didn't use it to serve me. I didn't use it for learning and growth and progress in all the different areas of my life, not just my business, but all of it. So I want you to begin thinking about a word of the year and how you might want to incorporate this. And I'll do a show toward the end of the year that's specifically focused on this, but I wanted to chat about it just now to get you thinking about it if this is a process that you want to do. Another thing that's on the agenda first is as you know, I've been a lifelong fitness fanatic and health nut, self-proclaimed health nut. And one of the things that I'm really focused on this year and have been since before Thanksgiving is really focusing on health into the holiday season, not waiting until the 1st of January when everybody makes their resolutions and begins to try to flip things, right? That's when gym memberships go crazy. And that's when we set these big weight loss goals and do all these things with resolutions that very often by the end of the second week anyway, they fall by the wayside. So I've really been focused. If you've been paying attention to my Instagram and Facebook stories, I've been sharing a lot of intermittent fasting details, health details, and really being intentional now because this is the crazy season. We're stressed with all the things that we're running around doing. And we aren't often focused on how we're being as we're doing all of that. So I like to pack snacks to take with me so that I don't get caught out during the busy shopping season or any of that and have to reach for unhealthy food options. So that's just an example. So if you're not following me on Facebook or Instagram, definitely do that. I'm just at Jackie Ulmer, almost anywhere you look, and start watching those stories and begin thinking how you might incorporate that into your life if your health and wellness is something that's a priority for you. All right, so let's talk about social media image and all those different things and why the word curated is on my mind. Curate basically means to select, to organize, and present. I went into the dictionary and looked a lot at this, and I started thinking about that for my 5 key areas of life. I've talked about my 5 favorite F words, right? They're my value buckets: faith, which is mindset, my belief not only in myself, but my faith in a higher power, God, whatever you want to call it. Faith incorporates a lot of different things for me. Then there's family and friends, which is the relationship bucket. Fun. Need I say more? Fitness incorporates my health, my wellness, mental, emotional, physical, as well as finances, my relationships. I want to be fit in all areas. And then, of course, finances, career, money, security, all of that. So when I think about the word curated, which I'm hoping that's the word I'm going to draw, can you tell? It'll be interesting to see what does show up. I want to think about how am I living? How am I acting? And how am I being intentional? How am I intentionally curating, right? Or selecting, organizing, and presenting what I most want in these key areas of my life. Now, when we think about curated in terms of social media, very often we think about that beautifully displayed feed in Instagram, for instance, that picture perfect, that magazine perfect feed. The colors all match and blend, the logo, the brand, right? Is that what really matters on social media? The reality of it is, no, not really. What is it that really matters? Well, your brand is primarily one thing, and I've covered this over the years extensively. You can go back and find other shows that I've done here on the podcast that explain that. But your brand is primarily one thing. It's how people feel after an experience of you. It's how people feel after an experience of you. How would they explain you and describe you to other people? What are the thoughts and words even that run through their minds when it comes to you? So when you think about that, your posts, your stories, the info that you share The inside look at your life, even, really is what reflects your brand. Now, too many people, especially in the business side of things, when it comes to social media, are focused on the wrong things for success. And I know this because if you've followed my show at all, you've heard me say, as a network marketer, as someone who built a successful network marketing business and struggled terribly in the beginning, you've heard me say I'll never be written up in the Network Marketing Hall of Fame for my fast start in network marketing. I struggled terribly. I would ask every top income earner for the perfect script. As the internet came along, I was always looking for that perfect landing page, the funnel. What's the right time of day to be posting? What do I need to be saying? Just tell me what to say, right? Now, if you haven't listened to my previous show on self-image and understanding fully the role that it plays in your success, go to, it's show number 432, and the title is Self-Image for Success. I started my network marketing business in 1994, and I took my business online in 1999, October of 1999. I started building a website and a presence there. And I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I had never taken a computer class. I didn't know anything about technology. I just knew that I caught a vision. Now, in 2003, I changed companies and ultimately started with the company that created the biggest success for me. And what I did, the interesting thing about that company is the product line was a product that I used, but it wasn't anything that I was crazy fanatical about. It wasn't anything that I had ever spent a ton of money on, but I caught the vision of how this might fit perfectly into my ideal client avatar, the person who I was most looking to work with, to sell to, and attract online. Now, the funny thing is, in 2003, I don't think I even knew the term ideal client avatar. In fact, I'm sure that I didn't, but I began to think in my mind, because this is how I was trained, what would that person be typing into the search engines? What would they be looking for in order to find me? Now, again, this was 2003. I don't think Facebook existed. I certainly wasn't on it. I don't think I got on Facebook till 2007, 2008. I know early on it was for college students, and I was certainly well beyond that, but I don't remember the actual start date of Facebook. YouTube was out there, Google was out there, but social media was still almost a figment of an imagination. It was just starting to evolve. We had things like MySpace and different things that were coming along in that regard. But in 2003, I was totally focused on building a website with keywords and attracting my ideal client there. So I set out to build a site, an email series, and then ultimately to flip that into my social media content. And I was focused on two things. What was my perfect customer and team partner for my network marketing company? What were they looking for specifically? And what would they be typing into Google to find me and to find my product? What were they searching for? What were they scrolling ultimately, not only just in Google, but certainly ultimately social media? And what was stopping them in the scroll, right? That's important. We put stuff out there, but unless somebody stops the scroll of the news feed and reads or clicks or becomes interested, it's just another ad, if you will, out there. It's just another opportunity for them to skip right by you. So what were they scrolling? What were they stopping? And what was it ultimately that tugged at their heartstrings? Now, I ultimately went on through this process of test, try, tweak, and change. I ultimately created $1 million image. And what that basically means is that the content and my way of sharing is what created and specifically attracted that $1 million essence to my brand, which created the $1 million income. That's it, plain and simple. Now, it's simple. It's not always easy because you have to be willing to put yourself out there. You have to be willing to try, and you have to get out of advertising mode and talking at people. Now, the thing of this is, creating $1 million brand or essence is not just for business. It's not just for career. It's not just for money. Think about it in the key areas of your life too. Just like I mentioned, my 5 F areas. Relationships. What is it that your partner wants? What is it that you want, right? How do you provide that to your partner? How do you show up and be that person? And how do you curate that? Now, remember, curate is all about selecting, organizing, and presenting things out there in a way that you want. Okay. Now, I'm just going to give you an example. As I'm recording this in the morning, a little bit later on, my husband and I are going to a movie, and then we're going to go have lunch, and we're going to do a little bit of shopping. But ultimately, that's all about spending time together. So I've selected and organized. I created the day. I proposed it out there. He agreed. And I have curated a day for us to spend together, enjoying our company, having a meal together, seeing a movie, and doing things that create fun and create that connection and that intimacy that's important in a relationship. So that's just an example. So then how do I curate and share in all my 5 areas, right? Faith. Okay. How do I curate? How do I select and organize and present ideas and concepts that draw in my perfect audience in the area of faith? And again, faith for me is belief, right? Belief in myself, belief in my abilities, belief in a higher power, all of that. So I'm always thinking about how I'm curating those things in the specific areas of my life to attract that audience that's also focused in those areas as well to some extent. So here is your homework, should you choose to take it on. Take a look at your social media feed. Take a look at how you've been being, so to speak. How have you shown up? What is the content that you've put out there in each area of your life? And I want you to step out of your own self and your ego, and I want you to begin to look at that through the eyes of your ideal client avatar. Now, again, this is not just business. Maybe you're looking to attract the perfect relationship. Maybe you're looking to attract a group of girlfriends. I've really expanded my social circle lately in Scottsdale, and I'll get into this later, but I created a specific way of doing this and curating that in the groups and the areas that I'm in on social media so that I could begin to make friends, begin to attract those right people and those right experiences to me for what I was looking for in terms of companionship and fun things to do and all of that in my local area. So take a look at how you've been being in each area of your life. Do you have $1 million image for success in these areas? Now, when I say $1 million, again, this is not just business and money. I'm not necessarily just talking about making money, but that $1 million image in terms of friendships and relationships. How can that currency, if you will, translate into all the areas that you're looking for in your life? Now, don't confuse image and curating an image with presenting something that's false or lacking authenticity. That is not at all what I mean. But dig into your own core values and what matters to you and begin to think about how you can put those out there and reflect those to others that attracts them to you. Curating is speaking, how you speak, and speaking can also be the written word, right? Your written word speaks the same as your spoken word when you do it correctly. Curating is showing up intentionally. It's not being reactive, but rather being thoughtful and with compassion and love and kindness in both life and business. Now, in a few weeks, I'm going to be presenting the $1 Million Image Studio, the $1 Million Image Studio, where we're going to design and build exactly what will create what you desire in life and business. So I want to encourage you to get on the wait list now. Go to peakperformancehabits.com/MDI. M is in Mike, D is in David, I is in intentional, MDI for $1 Million Image. And I'll put a link in the show notes too. Everything that you want begins with the self-image that fully supports your desires and your intentions. So let's create a self-image that's going to attract successful relationships, success in health, weight, and fitness, and certainly success in money and career. peakperformancehabits.com/MDI. And I'll see you on the next show. Sometimes Sometimes creating the life we want can seem challenging, and we're uncertain where to begin. Would you like a co-pilot on your journey? I've been the co-pilot in my life, marriage, and business coaching for years, and I would love to be yours. Learn more at peakperformancehabits.com/tools and get ready to upgrade your life. Your first class boarding pass awaits.